Are you tired of your fear holding you back from all of the things that you genuinely want in your life? Do you want to create that change, but you just don't know how because fear rears its ugly head? I imagine this little demon on my shoulder just telling me everything that's wrong and telling me all the ways that this isn't going to happen. Do you want to change? Do you want to know what it's like to genuinely feel free? Then let's get into this video. What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian. This is Talk Hard Podcast, and today we are going to be addressing fear. I remember living in fear, like genuinely being afraid of just about everything. When I was little, I was afraid of the dark, all the way to the point where I remember I was watching the movie The Bodyguard, and he was talking about, how Kevin Costner had been facing fears, and the dad was talking and how much he just did something. And so the first time I ever faced my fear was I just shut off all the lights and I just sat in darkness. And the crazy thing was even though I couldn't actually see anything, my imagination was so vivid that I could see the monster under my bed. I know it's not there, but I can see it, and I was just forcing myself to sit with it. But as you grow older, your fears change. And so before we get too deep into fear in itself, I want to talk about what fear is in the brain and why it's there and how it's supposed to serve you. And my hope for that is if you get a better understanding for the actual purpose of fear in itself, and you're able to dissect your level of fear, then we can start to create some change and learn how to face some of these fears. So fear in the brain is a way to assess a threat. Like if a dog started running down the street, barking viciously and foaming at the mouth like you see on all the scary movies, but hardly ever actually happens. But let's just say that were to happen. So when you look over and you see this dog and you perceive it as a threat, the first thing that happens is your vision gets extremely narrow. And I mean pinpoint accuracy. It is almost like you just took that dog and put it in zoom and you can just see it. Slow motion. It's coming at you and you're ready for it. That is what fear is supposed to do in its effort to serve you as a human being, right? If somebody's getting too close to your car and your vision spikes up and you adjust so that you can get away, you were perceiving a threat, you were reacting, responding. But then when it's over, your vision should open back up, your blood pressure, your heart rate should lower, and you should go back to your normal state. However, most of us, for myself included, even now, I have certain fears. This right now, what I'm doing for you is my fear, okay? I want to be able to serve you in the best way possible because of the growth that I have made over just a few years. I have only been an actual master certified life coach for 3 years. And so it's new to me on that level of things. And while I feel like I know a lot, getting in front of the camera and not allowing my squirrel brain to run all over the place scares me, because then I just know the judgment's coming, which isn't actually true, because the judgment isn't coming. And this is what I want to talk to you about today. So what are some of your fears? Please comment down below. Let's get vulnerable together. I'm sharing my fears with you, this one included. I want you to share your fears with me. Let's get rid of a lot of those, what I like to call limiting beliefs, because the greatest thing about what we are actually going to discuss today is that more than 90% of your fears are not actually real. Like they're never going to come true. You're afraid of things that you think might, that 90% of the time don't actually happen, and you run with that based on a past experience that was very real in the moment, but we're not talking about then. And if you want to see your future, you got to stop living in your past. You've got to open up space for new possibilities. So what are some common fears? Let's just talk about them for a second. Fear of the future. What's coming next, right? I think that when we went through this pandemic, fear in itself became the forefront of the world. We were all battling something that we could not see as its own attack form. You didn't realize that you had it until it was too late. That was scary for a lot of people. What are some other fears? Fear of vulnerability. I'm a very emotional person, and when I get riled up, I cry. Like, my emotions are strong. I'm an empath. I have very strong emotions, and sometimes I don't like it. So I clam up. I don't want to get vulnerable because I know what's coming next is those emotions, even though that part of me is probably the truest and most amazing part of my soul. That is what drives me to do things like add value in these situations, but it doesn't mean they don't exist. And so what else? Fear of failure. Whew. That's a big one. And I think it's a big one for most of us because a lot of us feel like all we do is fail because we're not where we want to be. I imagine that's why you're watching this video, because you are not where you imagined you would be today. That's okay. I want to tell you right now, that's okay. Every decision you've ever made has led you to this video today, and today is the day that we are going to create change. But what is another fear? Fear of rejection. Man, that's a big one for me. My first relationship was tough. I got into the relationship for the wrong reason. I was trying to prove that I was cool, so I chased down like the hot girl on the internet because that had just become a thing. And it was, I was out in California. It's where a lot of all this stuff happens in big cities. And so I chased down, the pretty girl in the chat rooms. Now I'm an older gentleman, so we're talking about America Online, and we used to have these chat rooms. And so I was able to get the girl, but then was cheated on. So my rejection came in a different form. I wasn't told no to the dating. I was told no to the continuance of the relationship. And so that was my rejection. I've been rejected by banks for loans, and that never feels good because you genuinely believe I've got a really good idea, and then no one will stand behind you. And as I say that and you hear it, the truth is just that one bank wouldn't stand behind me. The only reason that rejection existed was because I stopped after the first one. And that is what I want you to focus on today. Most of these fears are genuinely caused by a fear of not being good enough. And I'm here to tell you that I know for a fact that you are. I know in my soul that you are good enough. So let's talk about these limiting beliefs and what we can do in order to change them, right? So, sorry, Chris, I got lost here. All right, here we go. All right, so let's talk about facing your fears and what it looks like. And let's make this something that isn't just easier said than done. Let's make it something that is done, and then we can talk about it together. So how do you face your fears? Well, the first thing to understand is that most of your fears aren't true, okay? Most of what we call limiting beliefs, such as rejection, failure, not being good enough, you're never going to lose weight, you're never going to get that dream job, you're just going to continue this rat race, your marriage is never going to work. All of these things are not actually true, but we have past experience that we run off of as our data inside of our brain. That is what is built our psychocybernetic loop, okay? So the way the thought pattern actually works is that your beliefs, what you genuinely truly believe in your core, which is based on your past experiences, is so your belief dictates your thoughts, right? This is what fires the brain. Thoughts are the actual language of the brain. Feelings are the language of the body. So your belief dictates your thoughts. I believe I'm not good enough. That triggers a thought that everything that you're about to think about, you're not good enough for, okay? Belief dictates our thoughts dictate our feelings. So if I already believe I'm not good enough, then the language of the body, so now my body and my brain are in this synchronicity that is not the way it's supposed to be. But based on my beliefs, it's true, okay? So beliefs dictate your thoughts dictate your feelings. What happens from there is this dictates your actions. Then your actions create your result, and those results solidify your beliefs. And this is what we call psycho-cybernetics. So how do we get out of this? Let's first validate your thoughts. Why do you believe you're not good enough? If you were waiting for Tom, Dick, and Harry, Jessica, Sam, or whoever to tell you that you're good enough, you're going to be waiting around for a long time, okay? I now live in a space where I don't wait for a pat on the back. I just do, because I'm not doing this for them. I'm doing this for me. But you need to validate it. And how do you validate it? You validate it by proving it wrong. It just takes one, okay? You are one decision away from changing your entire life. And that is simply by saying, wait a minute, why am I not good enough? Let's reverse engineer this, okay? I have a brain that does 10,000 miles an hour, and I have what I like to call the squirrel syndrome, where boom, boom, boom. I just jump off topic because I've got so many different experiences that I don't know which one to share. This is kind of what I go through on these videos. And so my initial fear of starting this was that none of this is going to make any sense. And typically when I'm done with these videos, I can't recall everything I said. At first, I would just ask my editor, like, did you watch that video and what did you think? Did it make any sense? I would send it to my friends and then wait for a response. because I was too scared to watch myself. And I remember the first time I watched myself, this hypercritic, super judgmental version of myself, the person that I despise in others, came out. I am my own worst critic. I was sweating. I was judging myself. I was thinking of all of these different things because I wasn't actually listening to what I was saying. I was focusing on all of the negativity that I felt was real in that moment. It wasn't until I forced myself to sit down and watch the videos. I also watched the videos with my wife, which was very nerve-wracking because I want her to be proud of me on a level as just a husband. And so it was difficult. But what you genuinely need to do is face your fears, and it only takes one decision one time. So let's think about the things that you're afraid of. And I can't dive into all of them right now, but as an example, for me, I don't like being alone. So when I first decided to start creating change, I made myself go to restaurants alone, which is a scary place for me and a vulnerable place for me. Okay. I have an extensive background with some dangerous situations, and so I don't like having any exposure. I like to be at the back of the room with my back against the wall, so I know what's behind me. I know where I'm like ready for war, even though the war has never happened. That's the situation. So I forced myself to go into a restaurant and let my back face anybody. And at first it was tough. I did that until I could just get comfortable. For you, that may be one time. For you, that might be 10 times. Just keep going. Start finding small fears that you know exist, a limiting belief that you know is true in your head, but you have a better understanding of how this needs to become a different thought. Okay? Let's change your beliefs. Why aren't you good enough? As your coach, that would be the question I would ask. Tell me why you feel like you aren't good enough. Walk me through your example of good enough. I'm asking you now. Write it down. Share it with everybody here. Comment down below. Send me an email. Share it with me personally. I want to know why you actually genuinely believe that you're not good enough. I'm willing to bet I can prove you wrong. I'd be willing to put money on it. Good money. I have not yet met a client that I asked that question to that was able to not understand my way of thinking when I was done. What makes you not good enough? Is it something on the outside? Is it the people outside of you? You want some advice? Change those people, okay? There's a difference between a cheerleader who's somebody that just peps you up because you need it, and a challenger and a cheerleader. That is what my wife is for me. That is what I encourage all of my friends to be for me. I want you to call me on my BS. I want to hear it, which is why I want to hear why you're not liking these videos so far. I'm not getting the views that I want to get. I'm not helping the people I want to get yet, and I'm not going to stop until this happens. So I'm going to face my fears, and I'm just going to get on this camera and babble if I have to, because that's what it's going to take. I'm going to control my thoughts and face my fears. So what are your fears? Are you not good enough? Why? My next question would be, what are you doing about it? The same way that you're finding this video is the same way that you can create and unlock an unlimited potential for yourself. A little secret I want to share with you guys that most people don't understand is that your brain will lie to you on a regular basis. So stop believing everything you think as if it were true, and start imagining what else something could feel like. If you are listening to this, then you are already searching for a way to unlock your potential. So on a level somewhere, you believe that you're good enough. I hope you caught on to that right now, because I've already proven you wrong because you're watching this video. So I'm telling you right now, you're good enough because you want to be good enough. It is not because you're watching me. It is because you want to be good enough. You believe that you are capable of being good enough. That right there is how we begin to unlock this. So in the last video, I just talked about, prayer, meditation, manifestation, mindfulness. Be aware of the thoughts that you're thinking. And instead of just believing the thought that comes to mind, I want you to challenge yourself. Today's going to suck. Why? I want you to have that thought, and then I want you to validate, why will today suck? And if today didn't suck, what would it look like? So let's just imagine for a minute today doesn't suck. So when it doesn't suck, what does it look like? What has to happen in order for you to believe that it doesn't suck? And if you feel like you're not reaching these goals, aim lower, okay? So many people set these expectations that create these limiting beliefs. I have to be a millionaire by 30. I have to have kids and be a good father, and I have to be a leader at work, or there, it just goes over and over and over. Everybody has to think my car is cool. My shoes need to be nice. Let me share the truth with you, and excuse my language. No one gives a flying fuck. That's the truth. I know you think they do, but they don't. I once watched a study where they took somebody that had this fear of going outside because of the way that they were dressed. And so the coach encouraged them to just wear something totally off the wall. And then the coach said, now what I want you to do is I want you to walk through this park. And there was probably 100 people there. Then the coach went around with this person and said, did you notice this person? Well, yeah. What do you think about what they're wearing? I don't know. I didn't really think about it. There was a whole slew of, the majority of people didn't really think about it, to like 2 people thought, I'm not sure I would wear it. And then there was a rather significant number of people that said, I wish I had the courage to dress like that. So in this person's thought, they were having this fear of judgment from people. And so they would change their clothes 20, 30 times, send pictures to friends, like an OCD level of things that I'm sure some of you aren't experiencing. But break that down. You think that other people think about you on a regular basis. I think it's cute that you think that you are the end all be all to life, but 99% of the people that you experience on a daily basis don't give a fuck. They have their own things to deal with. If someone is judging me based on the way that I look, now to put this into context for some of you, my face is tattooed. Clearly, I walk into multi-million-dollar homes and deal with multi-million-dollar clients on a business level that I work with right now, and on a coaching level. The only thing that I hear people say, the most common version of, is, when I first saw you, I was like, wow, how does he pull that off? And then you start talking and I forget that you even have tattoos. It is such a cool thing to watch. That's what I want you to experience. So meditation, manifestation, all comes from being in the right headspace. So what are your fears? Please share them down below. What are you going through? Every time you think that thought, because it's going to keep pushing back on you, I want you to push back on it with some positive affirmations. I want you to try a few things. Write 3 positive affirmations on your mirror. 3 things that you know to be true. Okay. The most common thing that I deal with when it comes to coaches and people is this for men. Most of you are men, so I'm going to talk to the men. I'm not good enough looking to get that girl. And I'm sorry, but that one just cracks me up. I would say, honestly, it is more difficult for a good-looking man to stay in a relationship with a woman, okay? Because most good-looking men can be arrogant. They know they're good-looking, and that comes with a certain level of confidence that is overbearing and comes with attention that a lot of women don't like. All a woman wants is to feel safe and for you to be confident. It doesn't really matter what you look like. I know this to be true because I know plenty of men, some of which are friends of mine, good friends of mine, that most people would not say are attractive, and their wives are stunning, okay? Women are not visual like we are. So stop dictating your life based on the fact that you assume that somebody isn't physically attracted to you. There is so much more to you. And when you unlock that potential inside of yourself, you are going to unlock unlimited possibilities. And that's just on a relationship level. Now let's talk about a business level. Why aren't you good enough? And what are you doing about it? Are you waking up early to add value to the world, to add value to yourself? Are you waking up and spending time with your own thoughts, meditating, imagining? The brain does not know the difference between imagination and reality. So if you spend enough time imagining a new reality and you start to just believe that it's possible, that's all I want you to do. I just want you to believe that it is possible for a new experience to happen. And if you just do that for long enough, things will change. Failure only exists when the time frame and the goal are not in sync. So what does that mean? I'm only going to be successful if my business takes off in 2 years. Guys, I've been doing this podcast for more than 2 years. On a financial level, this is not successful. Does that dictate success? If that's what your version of success is financial freedom, then again, what are you doing about it? There is countless ideas on YouTube for how to make more money. Print on demand, network marketing. Heck, you can write short story books and put them on Audible and all kinds of other websites, and they'll sell them for you. I could talk for hours about these things. So if you're trying to add value to your life and you're not doing anything about it, well, then no wonder it sucks. And no wonder you're having all these limiting beliefs. You're not allowing the space to exist. And you need to genuinely find your purpose. You find your purpose by how you feel. And when you find your purpose and start to feel a certain way, that comes from imagining what you want your life to look like and then allowing the space to exist for that change to happen. If you are genuinely still struggling with this, see a therapist, okay? Don't just go see a therapist and fill out a form, okay? When I wanted to know if there was something wrong with my brain, I had it scanned. I didn't talk to somebody. When I was trying to understand why my thoughts were the way that they were when I came from a very dark space, I went and saw like an actual medical professional. I wouldn't go talk to my doctor and say, yeah, my heart kind of hurts. And he'd just be like, oh, it must be this. No, he put me on a machine. It's called an EKG. And he would look at my actual heart and look at the arrhythmia and all of the valves and everything and the way that it's pumping and see that it's working in sync. You go deeper. So if you're genuinely struggling, then face your fear and go get yourself checked. It's better to know than not know. But knowledge is not power. Actionable knowledge is power. So what are you afraid of and what are you doing about it? Get a coach. I'm a coach, but I'm not everybody's coach. If you want to discuss coaching programs, send me an email. Chris, if you would put the link down below here, I would be greatly appreciated. You can jump on my site, coaching packages on there. Everything on there is very simple because I like to build packages for people specifically. There is no like magic coaching package. I will have a intro call and we'll talk about what you're really looking to change and what it would look like to get curious about it, because that's all a coach does. All I'm going to do is ask you questions that are going to open up new possibilities in the way that you think. And that's all we're trying to do here when you're facing your fears. I want you to validate your thoughts. I want to hear genuine proof of why these exist. And let's get curious about, is that real? Or what else could that look like? This is typically called cognitive behavioral coaching. They do similar methods in therapy. I believe it actually started in therapy. But it's just, when you're facing your fears, if you're genuinely believing your fear is true, then let's just imagine for a minute that it's not and what else could be possible, because anything is possible. So I'm afraid to apply for this job because I don't think that I'm good enough, and so I just don't apply. I'm afraid to ask for a raise because of the rejection of my boss saying no. Why would your boss say no? Because he or she is mean. Get a new job, because it ain't going to matter at that point. That doesn't mean that you're not good enough. That means that they're greedy. So why? You're afraid of the rejection, but why are you afraid of the rejection? If you are confident enough in your value that you believe you should go ask for a raise, you get paid for the value that you add. So this isn't about, well, I've been there for 5 years. Cool. If you're not adding any value over 5 years, just be happy that you have a job. But if you've been genuinely adding value and those around you genuinely enjoy working with you, and yet you're still afraid to ask for a raise, get over it. Go ask. If your boss doesn't give you one, go get another job. When you walk into a situation and you know your value and you handle it appropriately by asking your boss a question, I would like a raise, and I would like to hear if there is a valid reason why you feel like I shouldn't have one. And then afterwards, I'd like to negotiate. Most of your bosses are just going to be a little shocked that you actually said it, because they're not going to have anything. They're not going to be able to validate your negativity. And so it is not just about going in and demanding a raise with an attitude. That is a challenging situation, and that's how most people go into situations, and that's why it doesn't work out, because this becomes a competition, not about proving your value. You got to remember that it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. And when you believe that you hold value that is true, and you walk into a situation and you genuinely help them understand that if I am not here, this company might struggle more than it did before I was here. I add value to the situation. If you're afraid to get into a confrontation with your spouse because in your head you want to say something, but you believe that based on past experiences, this is how the conversation is going to go, and then it keeps going that way, it's because you've already set the tone in your head. You already believe that that is what is going to happen, and you don't allow a space for other things to happen. And so what can you do to adjust in conversation? Every time I want to have a difficult conversation with my wife, I typically start it off by saying, I would like to say something that you may not like, and it's because I don't know if I'm going to say it right, but I would like to have a conversation about it. And so I hope that you can just be open to the possibilities of my side of the fence. and I would love to hear yours, because it's not about right and wrong. It's not a competition. It's about communication. And these are things that people are typically afraid of. So stop telling yourself the story that is the ending before it even begins, and start imagining new possibilities for why you're afraid and why you shouldn't be afraid. And then let's unlock some new potential inside of each other. So my biggest fears, that I'm going to be forgotten, that I won't leave enough of a legacy behind, that after a certain number of years, I'll just be forgotten. And then what was this all for? What am I doing about that fear? You're watching it right now. You see, you can't forget about me when I'm always going to be on the internet. And when I make enough impact in other people's lives because of the way that I've impacted my own life, that's going to carry on forever. It will always be discussed. And if I am ever forgotten, it's because somebody greater came along that held more value and carried on my legacy. My legacy meaning I just want to create change. I just want to unlock the possibilities for you in your life, because I'm telling you that they're real. I'm telling you that all of your fears on a surface level are not true. They are only true because you predict them to happen. You create the space where that fear is already true before it even becomes real. And so you actually manifest your fear into reality. And I know that that is difficult to believe right now, but let's just open up the possibilities of what it might look like. Let's just take some chances together. Let's face some fears together. So comment down below or send me an email, brian@gglifecoaching.com. You can also reach me, fans@talkhardfans.com. That will come to me. I'll get vulnerable with you if you want to get vulnerable with me. Let's talk about some truth. False evidence appearing real, okay? I want to know why. I want to know what we can do about it, because I've shared plenty of things that you can do today. Meditate. Think about the things that you think about. Imagine a new reality. Believe that it is just possible. Don't lie to yourself and if I just think this enough times then it's just going to happen. That's not how it works. You have to spend the time to put it in your head in a deep enough thought that you can feel it. Because like I said before, thoughts are the language of the brain, feelings are the language of the body. And when your thoughts and your feelings are in sync, now you are actually experiencing synchronicity. And when you are experiencing synchronicity, you have this thing in your mind, like the third eye is what they call it. And it's basically a Wi-Fi antenna. When you are truly in sync and you now have that energy put out into the world, you will begin to attract these things. You just need patience. Stay with it long enough, create that change, and then I want you to come back to the channel. I want you to share it with everybody. I want to hear the stories. Either send me an email or comment down below, and then I'm going to pick the best story. And if you're open to it, we'll do a Zoom interview together, and I want to hear how this video right here helped you create some change and how you faced your fears and what you could do. Or I want to hear the things that you believe that I can change about these videos. Was I confusing? Is this making any sense to you? What else do you want to hear about? What else can I do to help you create change? If you're just listening on a different platform, then you can still comment down below. Please send me an email. I want to hear more about it by reading it, obviously. I love the language that we use. It's so much fun. Let's dive into this together. If you're interested in coaching, check me on the website or just shoot me an email or just comment down below. Say, hey, I would like to talk. We can have an intro call. I'll put you on the schedule. We can discuss what it could look like to walk through a coaching program together and genuinely create change with somebody like myself that is going to hold you accountable. I don't beat around the bush. I'll call you on your BS. I'm just going to give you my version of your truth from what I am seeing by allowing you to create the space. And that's how this all works. We'll create a plan, and then I will say, what do you believe is the way that you're wanting me to hold you accountable? A lot of people will shell off with just some BS, and then I will open up to, is there something else? Are you open to different possibilities? Can I share some with you? And we will create a plan. And I have created, it's funny when I go to say that because I say I have created great change for people, and that's not true. I have opened up the possibilities for others to create great change because I am the most curious person you will ever meet. I always want to know what else is out there. Listen, guys, 2024 can be a very scary year. It's going to be political. I am not a big politic person, but I'm not ignorant to the fact that politics do shape a lot of things. And so there's going to be a lot of fear mongering going on. They're going to try to scare you. They're going to try to race bait everybody. I am not going to talk about race, but I'm just going to say I can see it. Okay? It's bullshit. Fear is a great motivator for clicks. and I could go open a whole different channel and just talk about a bunch of stuff that would scare people and probably make a bunch of stupid money. And there's a price for that. And that's a price that there's not enough money on the planet for me to want to pay that price, because that is an ultimate price and I'm not up for it. So what else can we do to create some change together? What else would you like to hear about? Did this make enough sense for you? And what questions do you have? I will also do some reaction videos where I will react to the comments specifically and discuss the topics based on your actual comment. So thank you very much. Please like and subscribe, share it with your friends. If you made it this far in the video, you're amazing. I love you. And I look forward to 2024 as the year that we create change together. Have a good night.